So for those that weren't at the session tonight, we covered a new pressing tactic. And initially I started going through how we've pressed historically. 4-2-3-1, force the opposition to the outside. It gives you control, predictability. It's difficult for the opposition to create chances. The downside to it is it's actually hard for us to construct attacks when we win it back in wide areas. It's just as easy for the opposition to win it back off us. So here are some examples where we can demonstrate how easy it is for us to force teams win it back, but we're not always successful at being able to then construct meaningful, good counter-attacks from it. So as you can see from these examples, we're very efficient and effective at forcing teams into the wide areas. Like in this example, we win it back, but no sooner have we won it back than the opposition have closed us down and regained possession. So what we're going to look to do is to try and change that a little bit, and we're going to try and win the ball back in what we call our counter-attacking zone, inside channeling, in more central areas, to try and create a better quality of chance. And that's what this tactic session is going to be looking at, is how do we create or control the opposition. So you can see here the pros, we create better quality of chance. The risks are that you could end up leaving yourself too open and getting the opposition play on the middle. But you can see here in these examples where we do win the ball back centrally, if the strikers make the right run and we see the pass here, we could create a very good quality of chance simply because we've won it back in central areas whilst the opposition are open. You can see in this example, Fylde achieve what we're going to try and achieve, which is to try and double up on a central midfielder, win it back, and you can see how wide open we are and how they might, create a good scoring opportunity as a result. Here against Bradford, we win it back central areas and we create one of our best moments of the game where we probably should have scored. So there's not too much different in the way that we set up. In this example, we've dropped off a little bit. You can say it's 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2. The distances between everybody is massive, 12 metres maximum between every player. Close together, 24 metres in verticality. We prioritise in the build-up preventing access through the half-space lane. Nothing changes. We force the play out wide. We engage the opposition once they start to step forward with the ball. We try and encourage the play to go into the fullbacks. Once it's here, this is where there's changes. We try and cut off the line, which is a little bit of a difference from normal. This becomes the problem area, so we need central midfielders now to prioritise cutting off passing lanes to key areas, and we open up a pass to a central midfield, and this is where the far-sided striker comes in to try and double up. Ignore this about just sort of we'll come on to this later about where the opposition's out ball is and how we provoke the switch of play. I'll come on to that later. But the objective is still to try and encourage the pass into this central midfielder and hopefully then double or treble press to try and win it back in central areas. And as mentioned, from here the opposition should be wide open and we therefore might create better quality of counter-attack. So I'm using Borussia Dortmund here as an example, but you can see the distances between players. Everybody's really close together, 24 metres between our strikers and our defensive line. Everybody is within 8 metres, 10 metres of a yellow shirt. And that's what enables us to be difficult to break down. You can see the better quality of counter-attack when they win it back in central areas. We're going to position players specifically, like Maria was in training tonight, to be a counter-attacking threat once we win it back. There's no better example of this, what we're trying to achieve. The centre-back is trying to play into central midfield, where both one of our holding mids and our number 10 double press, and if they come into the line of the striker, you can treble press. Again, to try and win it back, and if they do, they're at just 2 centre-backs. The forwards are the most important defenders in the team because your objective is to control the opposition, split the pitch, force the team in one half like here and not allow them to switch back out. You've got dual responsibilities of working together as a 9 and 10 to prevent access to the holding midfielder, screening like in this example here, but also trying to prevent the switch of play like in that example where they were unsuccessful. This is a good example because if you watch here, the striker looks over his shoulder to see if his number 10 can lock down the holding midfielder. And upon seeing that, he now prioritises stopping Arsenal's defender here from switching through the centre-backs or goalkeeper. Look at his positioning to cut off the switch, because he knows the number 10's behind him picking up the central midfielder. Every system has its pros and cons. In this one, we'd expect our central midfielders to go in and press passing lanes here, go really high up and be aggressive in the press. But in doing so, if they start putting long balls in, which we'd also expect, there might be a lot of space between the lines. And so we need to find solutions of how we're going to deal with this problem. The two solutions we're going to offer is one, our central midfielder and winger need to work close together to prevent passing lanes through the half space. Okay, but two, the defensive line, again, it's that 12-metre rule. If everyone's really compact and close together, short distances between players, we'll easily be able to press players that get into these little problem areas. You can see a little 2v1 in between the lines. It's possible because everybody's close together, short distances. Every style of pressing, like I said, has a way out. The far-sided centre-back is always going to be the way out, the escape route for the opposition. So when they find this pass, so I'm showing here, when they switch to their out ball, we should just drop diagonal if we can't apply pressure on the ball. So if they find this player, everyone just drops in a diagonal. Okay, Berko in this example presses and presses well because she encourages the play to come back towards the central areas where our players are. And because everyone's dropped back in behind the ball, we can win it back in central areas and create counter-attacks. What we would want, if we know that this is the problem player, we'd want our winger to be in this position. You can see Ebony's quite deep, but if our winger's here, we might be able to provoke this and press this player so it's a bit trappy again to stop them switching out. But as you can see, we can't apply pressure on the ball. They found the out ball, so everybody just drops diagonally in this example. In this example again, we could be stepping here as the winger to come and press this centre-back to try and prevent the switch of play. But wingers, if you are going to press centre-backs like Ebony half does here, you've got to get your body and curve round in between you and the full-back. Otherwise they just pass it round you like that. So in this first example, we're quite deep, and Danica decides to go and press. But when I showed you the Borussia Dortmund examples, the number 9 looked over their shoulder to see if our number 10, Fee, could lock down the holding midfielder. Fee can't lock down the holding midfielder here, so she's pressing in isolation. And so it's too easy for the opposition to be able to just play into the holding midfielder, and Danica's left with, a little bit stranded. This is a trigger to press because it's a poor pass from the opposition. You can see here that they've played it behind. The opposition player has their back to play and they're not in control of the ball. In this scenario here, we should have engaged and shown more intensively, collectively, moved in synchronisation to press that ball. This is a good example, back to play. They've received the ball with back to play, and Griff read it really early, gets a body in between, 2 points of reference, and we're applying maximum pressure and intensity in the press there. And the final example, if a player has a bad touch, this should be 2-3 players swarming that player then to try and win it back. So in conclusion, we're changing the way we press out of necessity because we've got to start scoring more goals and creating better quality chances. As a result, we're going to take more risks and try and force the opposition to play more inside to central midfielders, where we're going to seek to numerically dominate the opposition, create little 2v1s, 3v1s in the hope that we can win the ball back in better situations. Because we're not being successful at forcing teams out wide and developing attacks from there. And that's what we've been working on in the last couple of training sessions and what we'll continue to work on in the next 1 or 2 sessions. The forward players and the wingers and central midfielders are the most crucial to what we're looking to achieve, and so you're the players I need to get to understand this and to come to training the most.